Happy Monday! Welcome to the Prop Queen Pod, taking you up until 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the show. Going to go through all things you need to know for Monday Night Football. We'll talk that with Jared Block. We'll also talk NBA props with Jared Block today. I have to tweet out about the show being live. We had a crazy day yesterday. So if your team somehow made it through the NFL Slate with no injuries yesterday, congratulations. You won the day. I spoke a little too early about my Baltimore Ravens, I'm late, Mark. I know. Happy Hanukkah to all who celebrate. The Ravens gave me a dub yesterday as my first Hanukkah present, so real glad about that. They did have a big injury. Their leading tackler is out for the season with an ACL. So is Patrick Mahomes, Chiefs quarterback. So is Micah Parsons, the Green Bay Packers linebacker. Crazy. Just craziness yesterday in the NFL with all the injuries. I was trying to get Dr. David Chow to come on, but he was very busy today, as you can imagine. Jared Block joining the show, talking Monday Night Football and NBA props for tonight. We'll get an update from Dr. Chow on Thursday. So going into the Week 16 games, we'll get an update from Chow, and he'll tell us kind of where to attack, which injuries were the most devastating, which ones we could take advantage of going into Week 16. We'll get some good insights on Thursday as we start Week 16. Devontae Adams, yes, he went into the game pretty banged up. Puka Nacua also went down pretty bad, but then he came back in the game. I'm trying to think of all the other crazy injuries that happened. I feel like every second I was watching a game, players were going down with injuries. But of course, Patrick Mahomes and the Tom Brady comparison is pretty nuts. I don't know if you guys saw, but there's the whole history of, let me find it. My guy Aaron posted the whole history behind the two of them. And you guys know Kelly and I love astrology and numerology. And I'll take a snapshot of it so that you guys could see literally how eerily similar these are. So these are the parallels between Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. Tom Brady, born August 3rd, 1977. Super Bowl ring, age 23. Then no ring, Super Bowl ring, no ring, Super Bowl humiliation, ACL. Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl ring, no ring, Super Bowl ring, no ring, humiliation, ACL injury. I mean, it's pretty close to identical, those two. And then in the chat, you guys are asking about the Ravens linebacker, Teddy Buchanan. He's the team's second leading tackler. He's out for the season with a torn ACL. So that I kind of jinxed because I made a video yesterday saying my team came out unscathed from yesterday, and they did not. Second leading tackler. And that's the last thing that they should do is lose any more defensive players. The Ravens' depth already going to be really tough. But yeah, people very happy that there's going to be no Taylor Swift talk leading up to the Super Bowl. Not only did the Chiefs end up losing their quarterback, but they're done for the season. They are officially eliminated from Super Bowl contention. So are the Cincinnati Bengals. So are pretty much the Dallas Cowboys. Yesterday was pretty crazy too, because the Dallas Cowboys ended up going down. Trying to just go through the odds real quick of what we're seeing. NFL. I just want to get a refresher on some of the scores. The Bucs ended up losing on Thursday, so the Panthers creating some mayhem after they lost to the Saints 2017 yesterday. That was a crazy field goal to end the game. The Seahawks ended up beating the Colts, but the Seahawks were double-digit favorites. The Seahawks were freaking 2 touchdown favorites over the Colts, and old man Phillip Rivers, guys. Are the Colts making the playoffs? Looking at the odds right now, playoff odds, Indianapolis Colts, they're minus 1350. Or sorry, I'm saying Colts. Yeah, Colts, minus 1350. Phillip Rivers is back in the playoffs. Gosh. My friend also has a theory about tonight. My friend Chris Thurston has a theory about the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I like Miami tonight anyway. I think it's a really tough spot for the Pittsburgh Steelers to have to go and face Miami after facing the Bills and then upsetting the Ravens in Baltimore. However, my friend's theory is the NFL would really love to have the Steelers and Ravens going head to head. And whoever wins is in, whoever loses is out situation for the final game of the NFL regular season the last week of the year, because those two go head to head. So just keep that in mind. Oh, sorry, you're right. The Colts to miss the playoffs is minus 1350. Thank you. I was like, damn, I thought it was the AFC. They're plus 830 to make the playoffs. Thank you. Read that wrong. Packers minus 1150 to make the playoffs. Bears minus 390. Bucks minus 335. Ravens minus 112. Steelers minus 104. Lions plus 152. Panthers plus 265. And then the drop off to the Colts plus 830. There we go. That makes a lot more sense. Teams to miss the playoffs. Obviously, it's kind of flipped in the same motion, but it's wild right now in the NFL. There are so many places that we could probably take advantage to because the AFC feels pretty wide open. Right now, the AFC odds, Denver Broncos plus 320, Bills plus 370, Patriots 5-1, Texans 6-1, Jags 7-1, Ravens plus 950, Chargers 10-1, Steelers 22-1, and then a big drop off to Colts in Miami. Rams plus 185, Seahawks plus 390. So pretty big drop off between the Rams and everybody else. They haven't looked they looked good against. They got the win over the Lions yesterday, 41-34. I guess they'll play up to their good competition, bad to the down one. So the Vikings upset the Cowboys last night, 34-26. Vikings 6-8 on the year. Cowboys also pretty much now done. This year is crazy. The Packers also, I liked the Packers yesterday, minus 2.5. And the Broncos surprised us for sure against that pass rush. I was very shocked. Texans are on a heater. Texans right now, fourth best odds to win the AFC behind the Pats. I like the Texans better. They just had some injuries to start the year. What's the weather like tonight? Let's take a look real quick at Roto Grinders. I love using Roto Grinders. We've had him on the show before. Kevin Roth, he's great. Tonight's game, temperatures around 20 degrees at kickoff, dropping into the teens for most of the game. Winds are light, no rain. Pitt has a heated field. To be honest, guys, I don't really care if there's no wind. Wind is everything. Wind, rain. I don't care about snow. Colts was watch Taylor Swift go anyways. Nah. The question is Travis Kelce going to retire? Purdy's a monster. He gets no credit. He does get credit. He got a nice big contract, Mark. Mr. Irrelevant just signed a huge contract. He got credit. You think he cares what we say in the Prop Queen group chat? He doesn't care. He's happy he got his bag. Joey Goff's stats are off the charts good. There's also a prop that I'm really pissed about that I really loved today. And they won't post it. They won't post it. The only book that posted this won't let me bet more than $10. Even Prize Picks won't put it up. So I'll tell you that one at the end of the show. But I do love it. So if you do happen to see, if you have the newsletter, you know what it is. It was the free bet of the day for all the free subscribers. It's my favorite prop of the night, and I can't find it anywhere or bet it anywhere. One book, $10, it said. Joining the show now, he'll give us some more action before I give you my Prop Queen edges of the day. He comes on every Monday. It is Jared Block joining us from Trinity Analytics, Props.cash. How are ya?
I've had better Sundays, but I'm glad to be
What
here
made Sunday
so I
so
can
bad?
distract myself. Oh, just the fact that I lost like 8 position players in one game, and we lost, and Micah Parsons' season is over. So it's been a fun 12 hours for me.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's going to talk Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs were already eliminated anyway by losing that game last night. The biggest loss for 2025, it's Micah Parsons for the Packers after yesterday's craziness, no?
Oh yeah, I mean, I certainly, and heading into Bears Part 2 this week, like it sets up dramatically, obviously. So I don't know. Word around Packers Twitter is like next man up mentality stuff.
It has to
Christian
be.
Watson news is great. He's not injured outside of a week-to-week status, so that is helpful. But yeah, I mean,
I agree with Kings only. Watson has to be the most unlucky player ever.
Oh yeah, I mean I can't name very many more that are that this injured as frequently. Maybe like Tyreek, but that's other than that I can't really name them.
Which team stood out to you yesterday? I know the AFC is so wide open. Any of the AFC teams make you like them or hate them more?
Don't know what to do with Buffalo still.
Same.
I'd like to believe in them, and whenever I start to, it goes the opposite way. And I still don't like that they don't have a number one pass catching option. You can say that Shakir is, you can say Kincaid could be, but there's lots of stuff going on. And when James Cook can't run the ball, it seems like they just stall out every time. So it was a good win. It was a great win. They've had 2 or 3 of these like 20 plus come from behind wins situations. I think that at the end of the day, if the Bills can just get to the postseason, I will usually back Josh Allen pretty much all the time. But I still worry that they feel what's a good comparison here? They just feel very one dimensional, and he has to kind of like be superhero to do anything.
How about the Houston Texans? The Texans have been on a hot streak.
Yeah.
You like them in any capacity?
I like that they have an identity. I guess we'll see where Woody Marks is, but I do like the ability to kind of like you just have to be slightly above average to mediocre offensively with the defense that they've put together, and their defense can shut down anybody. We've seen a lot of really, really good defenses, especially when I get to come on these shows for Monday Night Football. We don't get that today, but Houston definitely they deserve to be in this conversation now after I don't know what you talked about Phillip Rivers this weekend. I thought that was like a top 1% outcome for the Colts with him under center. What happened?
I couldn't believe how great he played, to be honest. That was a 14-point spread.
I think that comes crashing down to earth pretty fast.
Who do the Colts have next week?
I don't know.
I'm gonna look real quick.
I guess I don't want to open my mouth and just immediately get shit on, but I can't imagine now that teams have
their Monday Night Football at home against the 49ers. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What is
I
that
think that
spread?
this could implode. I think it could implode very fast.
It's only 5.5. What was it last night? I snapshotted the lines last night. The lines last night on FanDuel had them 5.5. Total 46.5. Still the same. It's pretty low.
I would not be surprised to see San Francisco as a 7 by a Sunday.
That's crazy. I can't believe how low that is. I know that they were double-digit dogs, and Phillip Rivers proved himself. They played a great game for Phillip Rivers last night. It was perfectly executed. I just don't understand how they're only catching 5.5 against San Francisco. But I guess the 49ers do have holes in their defense, too.
They do.
They're going to send them down the river, Mark says.
At some point, I feel like, and I thought it was this game, but Seattle has been up and down when it comes to this kind of matchup. So I guess we'll see how the Niners go. But my Phillip Rivers take is that you can only do it for so long before the NFL tape comes after you. And I just feel like that game plan of Taylor just trying to rush 30 times isn't going to work.
Yeah, and also there's only so much I assume someone like Phillip Rivers' body could take in the NFL. Granted, it's the end of the season, but come on. Okay, let's get to tonight's game. Monday Night Football, Steelers, Dolphins. So you told me earlier when we were talking, you said Jaylen Warren props. I said, is he going to play? He was downgraded to questionable with an illness today. Obviously, if he doesn't play, great. Or you get into the Javonte Williams situation like I got into last night, where for whatever freaking reason, they decided to start throwing the football to a running back I barely even knew existed on the Dallas Cowboys. All of the passing yards and receiving yards went to that guy as opposed to Javonte Williams because he didn't play for the first quarter. Anyway, you could run into that situation too for Jaylen Warren tonight. Maybe not. How come you're confident in him?
Well, earlier in the year, it was a game that was overseas, and I remember this specifically because we do handle that for DFS side of things, and got a notification at 6 a.m. stating that he was just a emergency scratch. I don't think that that's a scenario I see playing out today at home, in a spot where a month or two ago we had no idea where the playoff spot was going to be for the North. And I do think that now Baltimore wins yesterday. Pittsburgh needs to win to hold that spot because they own the tiebreaker right now. At least week to week, I don't understand a world like Jalen Warren would have to be hospitalized in order to miss this game. So that's my status on that. Though we have seen this before where he doesn't play and Gainwell gets 25 touches and looks really, really good. So I know that the Vegas lines, prize picks included, has the receiving stuff edge Gainwell, and that makes sense. If you look into how they run their offense, it makes sense from that angle. I just think in prime time, we've seen Warren look really good from this longest rush reception angle. He's cleared a longest rush in every game at the market currently. And in the 3 primetime games, he's also caught a double-digit yard pass in all 3 of those games. Like you said at the beginning of the stream, I'm not worried about weather in this game. We'll talk about that from other angles. But in regards to this, I think it's all systems go. I guess my one concern outside of the illness, which again, I think is a minor concern for me, is the fact that the Dolphins just have been really good in terms of they're allowing like 2.1 yards per carry to running backs over the last 4 weeks. So you could see some inefficiency issues. I do like the longest reception over the longest rush if we're looking at it from that angle. I'll keep ranting, but any thoughts on am I believing too much in this Warren stuff, or is the media giving us too much hype on this illness?
He didn't fit into anything that I was looking into. He wasn't in any categories I was diving into, so I didn't really look too deeply into Jalen Warren. And then, of course, the PTSD I have from last night and Javonte Williams with his stupid shoulder that he ended up rushing for like 80 yards anyway. That bothered me. So I stayed away, but I like the handicap of it. Miami is I do like Miami in the game, but that doesn't have any impact on Jalen Warren. A low total would, and him being utilized tonight in a 42.5 total does make a lot of sense. Guys in the chat, by the way, ask your questions. We'll go through all of Jared's props, and then we'll answer your questions at the end of his props. So ask any questions you got, and I'll keep track of what we need to get back to. Achan, over his longest rush, I feel like the common consensus amongst all the public, they're going to give it to Achan because Miami hates letting Tua throw in the cold weather. Is that something you're handicapping?
Yeah, I mean, it goes beyond, like, the headline will be Tua's terrible in the cold, and that's a great headline because
I'm over it
because it's so it's extremely like I don't care anymore. Like we know
Me
this,
either.
and I also know that like everything points towards Pittsburgh smashing in this. Like I think what I saw earlier, and you can call me if you know what I'm talking about, because I might not get this exactly right, but I think something like the last 5 or 6 games that Tua has played in under 40-degree weather, he's lost by an average of 19 points in the game, which is an incredible stat. And obviously has been really, really bad and in those spots. So on top of that, you take all of that out and don't even worry about it because we saw last week on Monday, the entire world was not on Justin Herbert and they were all on the Eagles and the Chargers won that game. And so I will throw all that stuff out and just say Miami, they don't want to pass right now. They have the 4th highest rush rate in the league at 43%. They have the 5th lowest pass rate over expectation as well, minus 5%. It's not a spot where they're going to go out and say, Tua, win us this game. They are going to play balanced. They are going to rely on their skill players. And obviously, Devon Chan is one of the best skill players in football. So lots of really, really, really low markets for Tua here. Like he hasn't he's gone 4 games in a row without attempting 24 passes. He's gone 4 games in a row without completing 16 passes. Like those are really, really, those are Phillip Rivers type markets there for Tua. And he's fallen under 175 passing yards in 4 straight games. Miami, they have I think that they're probably like 1 game from being eliminated from playoff contention, but they're 6-7. and it's not like they're
They're
terrible.
gonna
They've
want to
been
try to go at 500. Like you want,
right,
you're
right.
right there.
Yeah, yeah. And if you're Mike McDaniel, like this is your job. If you finish 500, it at least gives you a little bit more of a wiggle room there, and Tua as well. Like at some point, you got to move on from that situation. So while I think that that's all well and good for them to try and win this game, they also just need to know and be smart about how they want to win this game. And by winning this game, that you're not having Tua drop back 30 times in this spot. So I think they're going to want to do a lot with Devon Achane in the screen game. I like what we're looking at there. I just think at this point, and the reason I sent you the longest rush was not only has he done it consistently, which is like 5 or 6 in a row here, but he has
5 or 6 in a
also
row, like in games overall or in road games.
here. Let me just grab this for you. He has, let's see, 22 plus yard rush in 5 straight games, 7 of those last 8. That's not a home road thing. That's just over the last 5 to 6 weeks here. The Steelers have allowed the most yards on the ground to running backs in the NFL over the last 4 weeks. So that is a trend that I like. I like looking at this stage of the year at 4-week sample sizes. Now that most bye weeks are gone, you're not getting 3 weeks of data. You're getting 4 weeks of data, and stuff from week 2, week 3 doesn't matter as much anymore. So I think that you got to look at this Pittsburgh spot. And the thing that no one's talking about, they're talking about Tua. We got to talk about TJ Watt having the needle procedure almost give him a collapsed lung. So he's not playing today. And that is huge for the yards per carry for the Steelers defense. So I love Achane. I think that when you're looking at like his overall markets, they're going to be sky high here. And I'd rather just focus on something that he has done a lot. And so you've seen him now. I've gotten burned by this a couple weeks ago. Just not get targets out of the backfield. That certainly could happen in this matchup. And he could just rush the ball for 20 times. So I would like to rely on the longest rush for Achane and just take advantage of a no Watt Steelers defense. Something also to consider when looking at the running back spot. I didn't include this, but while we're on the topic of it, I do like Jalen Wright in this game. And I don't know how many carries he's going to get. He obviously had the outlier really good game with Achane off the field. I'm also not worried about the Achane injury. They said last week that if he was in a spot where the game needed him to come back, he would have played. I just think this is a spot where it's cold. You don't want to trust a quarterback that's been bad in the cold. And Jalen Wright could provide some extra assistance as a bigger back in between the tackles in a really, really good run matchup. So I like both running backs in the spot for Miami. The Achane just feels that longest rush just feels like a niche prop that I'm more willing to buy in than an overall scrimmage spot.
Well, this is why I always like in especially primetime games or any game really that I see that a team struggles against wide receivers, I'd rather go with their longest reception prop as opposed to going with their receiving yards, because we're not asking for a multitude of things. We're asking for one big catch, and in this case, one big rush. But you've got a longest reception prop. Dulcich over 12.5. It's funny. I actually do like him. I've bet him a few times on longest receptions. Underrated. You know, there's not that many deep threats, and I don't love Jalen Waddle tonight because I've seen too many inconsistencies in his primetime games on Props.cash. His road games haven't been great. So Dulcich over 12.5 yards for his longest reception. Why?
Yeah, so what we're seeing here is we are seeing Waddle in a relatively, like, the Steelers have fixed their secondary at least a little bit to a point where the stats are relatively middling. So when you're mentioning that inconsistency, I see it, and I don't trust Malik Washington as well. So what we're seeing here is that when Achane's not getting involved in the passing game, we are seeing the tight ends, both Darren Waller and Dulcich, act as this third wide receiver for the Dolphins. So if we're focused on lower average depth of target stuff, which I think we are in this spot, I do like Waller to a certain degree, but I do think that Dulcich can be used as this guy over the middle that benefits from, the main linebackers focused so much on Achane. Dulcich is kind of able to find a mismatch that he likes, and they've been able to exploit this. They have had Dulcich go over his longest reception at this market in all but one game he played for the Dolphins this year. That first game, he had 0 targets and 0 receptions, so it won't show up on the box score, but he has played 6 games for this team, and 5 of them have gone over this 12.5 longest reception number.
I was looking for somebody because I saw on Props.cash, weirdly enough, the running back position has actually gone over their longest reception prop the most against the Steelers. Achan just wasn't winning me over on a longest reception prop. And I couldn't bet Waddle. I just couldn't think of somebody else because there's nobody else on this team that really has a ton of deep balls except for Waddle. So Dulcich is a really good option, and 12.5 is a very generous number. And the Steelers do struggle there. Even though they've gotten better, they still of late have been allowing a decent amount of chunk yards against these receivers. Now, the next one, and everyone remember, you could keep asking questions in the chat. I have them starred every time you ask a question. I'm going to go back to all the stars when we get through Jared's props. How the hell do you cap Aaron Rodgers completion percentage props?
Well, it's because your stream is brought to you by Prize Picks. That's the answer. Because you can't bet this on a normal sports book in most places. So Prize Picks, Underdog also has it, but mainly Prize Picks is this number specifically. It's at 65.3%. Look, Rodgers is in a spot where, like, yeah, he's playing through a fractured left hand. Everything kind of looks iffy outside of the DK Metcalf stuff. We've talked about the Warren Gainwell situations. To me, this is mainly a matchup against a team that is allowing the highest completion percentage on the entire season to quarterbacks. They've allowed a 69.9%. We'll round that up to 70 because it sounds nicer. 70% completion percentage to opposing QBs this year. Rodgers in his career has just been a very, very good and efficient passer. And you're not looking at many attempts, right? I don't think we should project Rodgers with more than 25 to 27 attempts tonight. And I think that in this specific matchup, we already talked about them not being able to run the football very effectively. I think you could see that result in a lot of dump offs, a lot of screens. They're using all three tight ends. And on top of that, this goes right into the Metcalf stuff. Like, he profiles as a top 15 receiver against the two high shell zone, which is something that the Dolphins run around 30 to 40% of the time.
So that's why you're going receptions instead of receiving yards for Metcalf? Yeah.
Now, again, like, both could still hit. I don't dislike the receiving yard, and that kind of goes to your – I also didn't like the longest reception because he just wasn't getting there. So I looked at that, and I was trying to look at what I could see from Metcalf here because I do want – whenever somebody ranks in the top 10 to 15 percentile, and in his case, like top 3% against a specific man coverage or zone scheme, like, I want to try to find a way to take advantage of that. And I do think that right now, I think Prize Picks has – so the 4.5 reception is actually the demon number, and the 4 is the base number. I'm not sure if that's changed yet, but I do think that's a complimentary piece. It's listed at the bottom because I still think that, like, there's a lot of it's not risk, but it's more like, if it would be one thing if the Dolphins were running like exclusively too high, but they aren't. They're just doing it just enough for me to get excited about the play. And I do think that again, they're not going to have success running the football most likely. And I do think that Metcalf is just the easy opposite end of that.
Why bet an over completion percentage prop as opposed to a completions prop?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that it all depends on the QB and the system that I'd like to employ, because if it was like I deal a lot with pass rate over expectation. So, like, in neutral situations, teams that are more willing to pass, I am more willing to get behind the attempts and the completions. Arizona has been a really, really good example of this, where Brissett's just gone over 38 pass attempts in like every game in like 2 months. That would be a situation where I'd lean into like a completion thing. I just don't really know if the Steelers want Rodgers to complete 20 passes. And so I'd rather just focus on, what if this is a super low scoring, like super low pass attempt game for both QBs, and somehow like the Steelers defense just shows up and is able to stop the Dolphins, and that results in just more ground game for Steelers. So in worlds where like the completion percentage stuff can hit if Rodgers goes 16 for 21 or 16 for 22. So I'm more willing to bet on the lower volume pass effort for both sides today.
Questions from the chat. Joseph Rodriguez, he says he likes Achan over his receptions. Thoughts there?
Would have agreed, though I think that the last 2 weeks have said otherwise. He certainly could do this in any game, so don't get me wrong. I just feel like if you're gonna bet receptions, you might just want to focus on receiving yards or like rush plus receiving yards for Achane. I like when you're betting on these kinds of players, I would just like to bet on the best way to maximize on the amount of touches that they get. So the Pittsburgh Steelers were a spot where like I think you can really just take advantage of like they are getting decimated by just yards allowed on the ground. And I just worry that like they don't have to pass the ball to Achane 4 to 5 times in the SWAT. If it was like 2 games ago, then I would have had a different answer. But I think he's gone 2 straight games without a catch.
Next question. Tua over passing yards since Watt is out.
I'm not going to bet Tua passing yards in this game. I think that unless we see him, he needs to show me that he can throw for 200 again. And he hasn't done that in over a month. And the pass rate over expectation tells us everything we need to know. So when like say, here's the pass rate over expectation, like here's how I can break it down to make it easier for everybody to understand. Because I say it a lot, and sometimes I forget that maybe some people don't know what that is. Say that you are down 7 points in a spot where you were projected to pass. If you are at like a plus positive number on the pass rate over expectation scale, that means that you're going to dial it up more than the average team would in the passing game. The Dolphins over the past month have shown that they are a bottom 5 unit when it comes to that. And so they are like rushing. They are just running the football in spots where they are expected to pass. So they're willing to run the ball down 7, down 10 points. I just don't know if that's something I can buy into and looking at Tua stuff. And we kind of mentioned this briefly, but Pittsburgh has been just good enough in limiting passing yards, whereas like they were a bottom 5 team weeks like 2 through 6 or 7.
Anytime touchdown props, people want them. Warren over here, Mark, Ricky Williams.
Ricky Williams, let's bring out the time capsule there. I have, let's see, how many do I have here? I have 4. I think my favorite right now in terms of value, I would need you to look at this because it's definitely going to be pretty good plus money. Jalen Wright,
Williams anytime touchdown, LOL.
Jalen Wright is my like touchdown best price of the day for this game. I think anybody can come in here and come on this podcast and say Devon Achane's a great anytime TD call. If you're going to do that, I would take like the last touchdown, because if you expect Miami to be down in this game and try to keep it competitive and cover that spread, I think Achane's got a great shot to score late to keep things interesting. But if you're looking for the best price, I think Jalen Wright, who has scored in, he obviously scored that last week and I think proved himself in a goal line situation. I think that they could end up giving that ball to him because they tend to not go to Achane a lot around inside the 10.
Mark's in a timeout because what would you put the Ricky Williams touchdown prop at, Mark? 8,000 million to 1. Good job, Mark. You're great. You're funny. Funny comedian. Time out, dude. Time out. King K said, who do you like for most receiving yards?
In this game, look, the Pittsburgh side's just disgusting outside of Metcalf. We have Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
I don't like watching Pittsburgh tonight, to be honest.
They have MVS and Adam Thielen running routes for them right now. That's not great. So with that said, I like Warren. Don't get me wrong. We talked about him on the show and why we like him. I think this has sneaky Kenneth Gainwell written all over it. I don't think that they're going to be very successful running the football tonight, the Steelers, but I do think that they have pathways to success with Gainwell as this like screen monster ball hog type of situation. Like he's gotten 6 targets recently, quite a bit. And you have to do some wish casting because it doesn't look like it on paper, but like, let's just say that Jaylen Warren's condition does not improve, or what happens if he takes a couple shots early and doesn't feel great. Like I can't project that, but there's a world where it could happen and they play more Gainwell in a screen game situation. So if there's a guy that's like and again, price factoring into like, there aren't a lot of receivers. We could see no one go over 60 receiving yards in this game. And we could get a flyer on like what if Gainwell takes a 40-yard screen pass to the house. So I'll go with Gainwell as like an outside shot. He's not going to be projected as the best, but I think it's a nice payout.
Kings Only said he kind of likes Rodgers over 14 fantasy score. Thoughts on that? Would you convince him, yes or no?
So we'll compare the spots last night to tonight. JJ McCarthy, I liked him. He made my top like 4 plays on Sunday Night Football for over fantasy score. That number was 14. He ended up smashing that with like 24 fantasy points, but that was in a much, much, much better matchup in a dome game. So you talk about like what Pittsburgh wants to do. They don't want to have Rodgers chuck it 30 times like they did earlier in the season. Miami hasn't really been that bad against QBs. They've just been decimated in other areas. They have allowed a lot of passing yards over the last couple of weeks. The thing, though, and I guess that plays into the completion or the completion percentage prop that I tossed in here earlier. If you think that he's going to be extremely efficient, you're likely just going to have to run really, really well and hot on touchdowns. Like he's gonna have to throw. He has to throw 2 in order for you to even be close to going over 14 fantasy points. Because I'm not expecting him to throw for over 225 yards tonight or whatever his base number is. So I do think that this will likely have to become down to touchdowns. And if you think that like Warren isn't going to be a big threat around the goal line tonight, I'd have to agree with you in some capacity there. He's going to have to get 2 touchdowns through the air. He certainly can. He just hasn't been doing it. He's got a lot of 1s and 0s lately.
If you like Gainwell potentially for the most receiving yards, then how about 24.5 receiving yards over?
Yes, like that a lot. He has specifically gotten 25 plus receiving yards in 4 straight games.
Oh, wow. That's a nice stat. I mean, I liked him back in Philly, so it does.
Yeah, he's being used as like this. He's playing
I bet it over
majority
once earlier this year, and they didn't use him. And I was like, why are we not using Kenneth Gainwell? And now all of a sudden they're using him.
There was this Jaylen Warren, like he's an RB1 in the NFL narrative that was pushed the first month of the year, and then Gainwell shut that down and went for like 30 fantasy points in the game overseas. So I think they like using both of them. And it's clear that like if Rodgers can't find Metcalf, he's going to go to one of these tight ends or he's going to find Gainwell out of the backfield.
Do you like anything Darren Waller tonight?
Sort of. It's kind of a middling situation. Like I said before, this was in the Dulcich point. It was like they don't trust a third receiver, and they're using the tight ends, both of them, in a pretty like interesting time split. Like it's essentially like a 50-50 routes run roll recently for Greg Dulcich and for Darren Waller. I'm seeing Waller as more of like the big touchdown scorer type situation in the red zone, whereas Dulcich is kind of like this forgotten guy that they take advantage of when he can't find a quick outlet to Waddle or a quick dump off to Devon Achane. So Waller is somewhere in the middle of all of that. I think he doesn't have any trends that I like this year is more of where I'm trying to give you a direct answer. And he's just been more of this like big play touchdown kind of guy, though he hasn't been doing it a lot recently. It was mainly that first couple games and then he got injured again.
And for Sweegs and Matt Reichel, you guys are asking about Freiermuth and Rasul Douglas. I'll tell you guys about those in Prop Queen Edges. Yes, Rasul Douglas is the prop that other than Fanatics, who will only let me bet $10, no one else has posted it yet, and I'm waiting for Prize Picks to post it so I can put it in my damn lineup, but no one's posted it yet. I love defensive player props in prime time. Have you seen any defensive or special teams props that stood out to you?
I would look at like what I would always try to do is specifically defensive props. Like look at who's out and look how those players have done in regard to.
I was trying to find something for TJ Watt. I couldn't find anything.
Yeah, I mean, like what that would be like Highsmith. Maybe you could look into. Not a lot's going to stand out, but I would say like linebackers from Pittsburgh. I didn't have any on my list, but just hypothetically speaking.
Well, and then the leading tackler on the Steelers is, let me just, I'm going to remember. I forget. The leading tackler on the Steelers, he didn't have a prop up today. I was looking. It's Peyton Wilson.
Yeah. I think that they just don't want to list a market that is uncertain and is likely to be hammered by sharps.
Still no Peyton Wilson. Still no.
They don't know how to probably grade out something that without Watt in such a weird situation. And we know Achan's going to get 20 touches, and like that means that those linebackers are going to be super busy.
Gosh, I'm just so annoyed that they don't post that market anymore as much as they did. And last question before we move on to the NBA real quick. May I ask Tua under 199.5?
That's still his market. Yeah. I mean, he hasn't, like I said, he hasn't gone. He's fallen under 175 in 4 straight. And then I don't even like to include this, but like go on the internet, type in Tua cold, and you'll find all the.
I'm fading the narrative today. In a
way. I'm going under on the game. I think that's where I'd like to play it. Yeah, I don't know, but like
I've got it to a prop though that's not an under. I'll give it out in prop queen edges, but it's not pass.
Are we on the same thing? Well, I'll message you after this.
It's pass attempts.
Oh, okay, then we're not there. I have something so terrible. I'll see myself out when we're done. No. I got something else, but I will leave the show on that comment.
Oh my gosh. Let's dive into the NBA real quick before I let you go. We've got NBA action tonight. Klay Thompson, Duncan Robinson, Nikola Jokic, go through them. Why are you laddering the threes, and why do you like Jokic?
Yeah, so the 3 spot, we have a lot of teams tonight. It's a small card, obviously, right? 10 teams are playing, 5 games. We have like the 3 worst teams in terms of allowing above the break threes on the card. It's the Utah Jazz, it's the Boston Celtics, and it's the LA Clippers. They're all allowing more than 10 above the break threes made per game. For those of you who don't know what that is, the NBA specifies corner threes as anything from the baseline to the free throw line from a 3-point angle, and then anything above that is called the above the break zone. So those teams are allowing a ton of above the break threes. For Dallas specifically, this is a huge pace up spot for them. Utah's running at the second fastest clip in the NBA. They're also the second worst defense in the NBA in terms of the defensive rating. And when you're allowing a ton of threes in a pace up environment, I'm looking always at the best shooters on this side for these teams. That is the Klay Thompson spot. He's hit 3+ 3-pointers in the last 11 of 14 games. He also ranks in the top 25 in the NBA from above the break. Max Christie.
Where are you laddering this to, by the way?
Yeah, so I think Prize Picks specifically believe they had the Demon at 3.5. And I would be super interested in that. I think 3 is probably like the base market. So I'm laddering this to 5. I think there's certainly ways where he can get 5+ 3s. And I think that's really strong. Like he's not. So the thing with Klay this year specifically, I wouldn't be playing his points nightly. I would just look at this 3 number. If it's a good matchup, a top 5 matchup, I throw a little bit more money on like the max ladder spot. So that's what I think tonight is. It also helps that we don't have any D'Angelo Russell, who kind of just soaks everything up there. So he's out. I do expect Anthony Davis to play, and that should help the spacing for that team in general. So I like Klay Thompson a lot. Max Christie as well. What else do I have on this list for you?
Duncan Robinson, 3-point ladder, Jokic.
Yeah, tough spot is tough for this game. I don't like a lot of Pistons Celtics. It's a defensive-minded matchup, though. If there's one thing the Celtics are doing a lot this year and over the last 30 days, because that's where I'm at now, we're looking at 30-day splits for these teams and defenses. They're allowing the second most above the break threes, so 11+ shots made from that zone per game. Duncan Robinson's a top 25 guy in the NBA, and specifically, if we're looking at Detroit, he's like their only 3-point shooter that's consistent. And then you kind of take a look at that and how these teams are operating. This is a really bad spot for Jalen Duren on paper, and it's even a bad spot for Cade Cunningham. And so the least pathway to defense getting there is against this wing shooter spot, and I think it's a really good spot for Duncan Robinson. He's another guy I'd probably look into. Like you obviously are playing like the over 2.5 or like the 3+, but I think it's a spot where you can look at the 4s and the 5s.
And Nikola Jokic, Joseph Rodriguez in the chat said Joker's due. Do you agree?
Yeah, certainly. Like it's whenever I look at Joker, we always have to like any player prop for an elite superstar, you have to look at like what's the best way I can get action on everything that he does, because he's a top 5 tracking stat guy for potential assists, for rebound chances, for paint scoring, for literally anything he can do it all. And we saw that kind of play out last time against the Houston Rockets, which I think is a Western Conference Finals destination. I think that we're heading towards that route. And if we get it second round, that's even more incredible, as these two teams are pretty much obviously outside of OKC. Like, this is the side of the bracket on the West that you don't want to be a part of. So I think that we look at the last matchup between the Houston Rockets and the Denver Nuggets, and we see that Joker just absolutely punished Şengün. There have been comments made in the media today from Jokic about how he respects him as a player and loves going up against him. I don't really pay attention to that, but I do think that at least right now, when looking like at two similar players at two different points of their careers, like Joker just has the upper hand in terms of facing off against Şengün. They obviously do not want to put Steven Adams on Nikola Jokic, so I don't think anybody can guard him anyway, and that resulted in 34 points last time out. I want to just say, though, if you're playing Jokic tonight in any kind of capacity, this is not a good rebounding spot. It's actually the worst rebounding spot in the NBA. Anybody facing the Rockets as a center is not going to line up well from a rebound spot. So if you're looking at anything, you're just looking at points for this one. Oh, I got you on mute. Yep.
Muted. Marley's eating a bone below my feet, and it's very loud.
Nice.
We've got the Cup tomorrow. Knicks, Spurs. It's the only game on the slate in the association. Have you looked at it at all? What stands out?
I've looked at it a little bit. I think it will come down to how well Jalen Brunson can do. And as of right now, I'll just actually do some live stuff with you here. The Spurs not allowing a lot of threes per game. Not really allowing a ton of restricted areas scoring, and that's obvious considering the Wemby stuff. It had looked really bad for a while when Luke Cornett was the primary center, and now that is not that. And I do think that anytime Wemby's on the court, that's going to take away what Towns could do. So I don't like the Towns matchup at all. The Spurs are allowing the third most mid-range field goals. That sounds more like a Brunson drive spot, and I do think that it'll be tough to handicap anything that comes out for tomorrow. We'll say that the Spurs just have not guarded opposing point guards well whatsoever. I'm not sure how much that has to do with Wemby, or if they just want to put like Fox and Castle in on these one-on-one situations and have Wembanyama help out when it comes to like the closing drive stuff. Brunson's just been nails this entire Cup period. He's gotten 30-plus points religiously, though a lot of those matchups were against the Magic. He's faced them like 3 or 4 times in the past month. I think it'll come down to Brunson or bust for me. I don't think we're going to be able to find more than like 3 or 4 things that we like tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of tomorrow's game. I just feel like also we've had such a limited sample size with Wemby on the floor that it's really hard to see exactly what this Spurs team is with Wemby on it. We have had you completely overstay. You're welcome. So I appreciate all the dedicated time that you gave to us and the viewers, especially for all the questions that you answered. Make sure to check him out at Jared R. Block. He's at Trinity Analytics, Props.cash, and here every Monday with us. Good luck tonight, Jared.
Good luck. I'll leave the show with this, Ariel. And you might not have me on next week for saying this, but I'm calling it my balls of steel prop play of the game. The Steelers have allowed the 4th most rushing yards to opposing quarterbacks over the last few weeks. Lamar and Josh Allen both scored on them. Caleb Williams had 20 yards. Flacco's the only guy that didn't get there, and that's the guy. That is exactly what Tua is like. So I'm going Tua over a half rush yard today because I'm not against
it. I just lost on my freaking Kirk Cousins over in primetime on Thursday. So I understand. Yep. Sometimes the numbers are numbering. And if you see numbers numbering, then you got to go for it. I get it. Yep. I've actually hit a Tua over rushing yard prop before. I have.
It is the scariest thing in the world, considering what we know historically.
I get it. I love that you just mic dropped on us there. Jared, we'll see you next week.
See ya.
It was so great to stay with us for that. That was awesome. Let's get to, we're going to go on a long show today. Sorry, Marley. It is the most bet on props over at BetMGM. Are we fading the public or are they right? propaganda. These are the props that have 99% of money coming in on them. Devon Achane over his rushing yards, Johnny Smith over his receptions, Tua under pass attempts, Dulcich over receiving yards, Freiermuth over receptions, and Waller over receiving yards. Those are the ones with 99% of the money on them. Clearly, the public is loving that Tua is going to not throw and Achane's going to run. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. These are some of the these are other props. Jonnu Smith over receptions, Calvin Austin over receiving yards, Thielen over or under receptions, and Tua under pass attempts. Most bet on anytime touchdown scorers, Achane minus 125. That seems pretty short, to be honest. DK plus 150, Jalen Waddle plus 225, Gainwell plus 210, Jalen Wright 9-1. So those are the most bet on props. No, Mark, you're good. You're not banned anymore. You're good. I said you had a little bit of a timeout. You're back. You have to give us the odds that you would have, though, for that anytime touchdown score. Curious what you would price out a retired player at. Those are the most bet on props over at BetMGM. So let's get to the prop queen edges of the day. As I mentioned, Rasul Douglas, this was when everyone who subscribes to the newsletter, remember the newsletter, thepropqueen.com is my long list. It's not like I don't bet every prop of the prop queen edges, but I just put the prop queen edges into a newsletter, send them out. Free subscribers get my favorite bet of the day every day. And then all the others, I don't bet all the others, but I do bet some of them. And you can see that at Pickett Sports at Ariel Epstein. My favorite prop of the day, if I was allowed to freaking bet it, Rasul Douglas over 4.5 total tackles. Since the start of 2024, Douglas is averaging 5.5 total tackles in his last 10 primetime games. He's gone over in 8 of the last 10. If you want to zoom out, and I'll zoom out for you, go to Props.cash, show you this nice little graph. Desktop. Rasul Douglas. Hold on, let me just tweet that we're doing prop queen edges of the day. Prop queen edges of the day on now for Monday Night Football. Rasul Douglas. This is Rasul Douglas. You could even backtrack to when he played for Green Bay, when he played for Buffalo, now Miami. Douglas has gone over in 7 of his last 10 road primetime games. Against Pittsburgh specifically, 64% of corners have gone over their tackles plus assist prop, which is why I was targeting a cornerback today. Because of majority of cornerbacks, I was looking at all the positions. Cornerbacks go over the most against Pittsburgh. So I would go over Rasul Douglas, 4.5. Tua Tagovailoa overs. I know that sounds absolutely insane, but I'm going to show you why it's not so crazy. I'm going to go with the over pass attempts, but I'm going to go down the list. So first off, his completions is 18.5. When you look at Tua's completions, again, I'm just going to keep showing you the Props.cash. Tua's completions right here on the road in prime time. So Tua's only road primetime game this year was at Buffalo. He finished with 22 completions. He's gone over in 10 of his last 10 road primetime games. He's gone over in 7, averaging just under 20 completions a game. Pittsburgh's tied for the most completions per game allowed at 24. 62% of quarterbacks have gone over their completion prop against Pittsburgh this year. I'm not telling you to bet it, but I'm telling you that the unders aren't necessarily the best play against Pittsburgh. But I like the pass attempts better because I told you this all the time. I do not like betting over completions so much. I've done it a little bit, but I don't love it because completions also requires a receiver to do the job. Why would I bet on 2 players for the prop of 1 when I could just bet on 1 player? Now, under completions make sense because I'm saying that the likelihood of a quarterback and a receiver connecting doesn't happen so often. When it comes to pass attempts, I like it much better to bet overs because I only have to rely on the intent being there for Tua to throw. Look at how much he throws on the road in prime time. I mean, that is for 8 straight games on the road in prime time, over 27.5 pass attempts. It even went up to 29.5 in some spots. 31 is what Tua averages for pass attempts on the road in prime time. Pittsburgh allows the second most pass attempts per game at 38. 77% of quarterbacks this year have gone over their pass attempt prop. You don't think they know that TJ Watt's out? Of course they know TJ Watt's out. And with TJ Watt out, maybe, just maybe, they can attack the pass game a little bit more. I mean, it's going to really F up their defense. That is like the heart and soul of their defense right there for the Steelers is TJ Watt. Pressure might not be up front as much. You don't have to worry too much about him picking you off. Middle of the field, they're going to have to fix that with the linebackers being out. And Miami, like Tua doesn't even like to throw the ball that deep. They're going to cut the field up. So if they're going to be cutting the field up with all these slant routes and all of these like short passes because they don't want Tua to throw the ball too far, TJ Watt missing from the middle of the field is going to be a huge loss. Tua going to attempt to throw. And he's got some pass catching backs. The passing yards, I wouldn't bet it. But again, it's 192.5. I guess it went up to 199.5 according to the chat. Here's the graph from Props.cash for Tua passing yards. Decent amount. He's averaging 207 passing yards a game in these spots, going over in 7 of the last 10. Pittsburgh's allowing the 4th most passing yards per game at 261. 69% of quarterbacks have gone over their passing yard prop. So if the attempts are there, maybe the yards follow. But attempts is definitely my favorite Tua prop of the night. Riley Patterson overs. So I was looking at the Miami kicker. Over point after attempts or over 1.5 field goals. I'll show you the graphs. Patterson field goal. So this is Riley Patterson's recent field goals. He's gone over 1.5 field goals in 7 of his last 8 games, including 3 straight on the road. Pittsburgh's allowing the 5th most field goals per game and 7th most kicking points per game. 90% of kickers have gone over their field goal props in the last 10 games against Pittsburgh and 77% on the season. The reason that I was looking at the PATs, where is it? Was solely just because of this trend, 4 straight on the road in prime time. I don't know how much I love it, but it is a trend on the road in prime time for Riley Patterson PATs. Something to keep in mind there. I also am staying away, now that we're on like just the Miami kick, I am staying away from Jalen Waddle tonight. And I mentioned this. I mentioned Jalen Waddle earlier with Jared Block on the show. But I'm going to show you the Waddle home and away splits for prime time. Why did that not work? Oh, hold on. I have to get rid of some of the graphics. Here's Jalen Waddle at home in prime time, longest reception. Here's Jalen Waddle on the road in prime time, longest reception. I don't like doing receiving yards because it's so many, like, to have to, like, I don't want to worry about the quantity. I'd rather worry about quality. And Jalen Waddle's the only deep threat on this team. But there was nobody, like, there was no way. That was, again, home, road. And even his road numbers weren't that good this year, Jalen Waddle. Just on the road this season, he's gone under his longest reception prop in 6 of the last 10 road games overall. So I just have no interest in the Jalen Waddle props. I feel like you could find some value elsewhere than Jalen Waddle. Pat Freiermuth, I heard this went up to 17.5. You could look at my Pickett page. I bet it at 14.5 this morning. Pat Freiermuth is crushing it at home in prime time. That number of 14.5 was way too low. In prime time with Aaron Rodgers this year, he's gone over in 2 of 3 primetime games with 111 and 33 receiving yards. Then I even looked at Pat Freiermuth against defenses, bottom 10 against tight ends this year. He's averaging 39 receiving yards a game. He faced Cincinnati, had 111, Seattle 31, Colts 27, and New England just 6 with 1 catch. But against Seattle, Indianapolis, and Cincinnati, he went over 27 plus. So this number is really freaking low. Yeah, I would take over 17.5 for Freiermuth. This is showing the graph for 17.5, actually. I just was looking this morning on Pickett, and on Pickett, you're able to see all of the different odds, and Pickett showed me a 14.5 at BetMGM. So I took the 14.5 over at BetMGM. But it's 17.5 in most spots now. 14.5 was a crazy number. But 17.5 still, look, this is the chart for 17.5. He's going to have 20, at least, against this Miami defense. Miami is allowing the fourth most receiving yards per game to tight ends, 68 yards a game. 52% of tight ends have cleared their prop. Going with the over on Pat Freiermuth tonight. That position is struggling some of the most against the Miami Dolphins. Then there's Chris Boswell, who's at home. We love Chris Boswell at home. Kicking points was the only way to play it because field goals was heavily juiced. Go figure. At home, Chris Boswell's crushing it. He's gone over this in 5 of 7. And he's averaging 8 points a game in those spots. His last 10 home primetime games, Boswell's averaging 9 kicking points compared to 5.5 on the road. Kicking points is the prop that's gone over the most for kickers against Miami at 54%. So you could look to kicking points as well. Okay. If that's what you think. Again, I'm just giving you info as I see it. That's the point of the show. The point of the show is to just give you the info that I find. We can go and look real quick at Washington and Jonnu if you would like on Props.cash. Let's see. Receiving yards. Sometimes the chat has really good info. Jonnu. Let's try Jonnu first. It's just not a lot of sample size. It's not bad. 3 of 6 for Jonnu have gone over at home in prime time. Again, I'm going to keep playing with Props.cash real quick. Home in prime time. Home this year. Really good numbers for Jonnu Smith at home this year, for sure. Let's go with Aaron Rodgers. Quarterback. At home this year with Aaron Rodgers, those are the numbers for Jonnu Smith, averaging 14 yards a game, over in 4 of 7. Home primetime games in the last 10. We could just go primetime in general. 2 of 3 for Jonnu Smith went over with Aaron Rodgers under center at primetime as well. So you could look to some Jonnu Smith. Just seeing the chat. And then you also wanted to say, I'm here to give you guys good info. So if you don't like Freiermuth, but you think it's that or Washington, he said. I'm just here to give you guys like any good info that you guys might need. And you could bet with all the info I give you. Oh, that's the wrong Washington. Wrong Washington. Darnell Washington. Not much for Darnell Washington. Prime time, not much. Home still did well this year with Aaron Rodgers. Darnell Washington did well at home for sure. Now that made things very difficult with the tight ends in Pittsburgh. I already bet Freiermuth, and it's on the rise. I love Freiermuth in primetime. It's just been a trend I've always liked. We don't have a lot of primetime numbers, 1-1 for Darnell Washington. But again, you guys use with this what you should like. But I'm going to go with Freiermuth in primetime in front of that crowd. The Steelers crowd loves Freiermuth. I appreciate you reading me what I said. Oh, thanks, Easy Money. Thank you. Okay, we are very past the mark of the show. And also remember that you guys can use all those graphs at Props.cash using promo code PropQueen. Get 50% off your first month. Makes it about $9, and you can play around with Props.cash. Get all of those cool graphs as well. I love it for prime time, especially because I literally used to have to relax of the day on now. I used to literally have to go through every single game on ESPN and go and see if it was a primetime game or not. And I was like, oh, okay, is this a prime? It took so long. Now Props.cash just tells me what's a primetime game, tells me home and away splits, tells me how players do with or without certain players because of injury. Again, I really wanted to get someone from the Steelers because TJ Watt's out, but there wasn't any good props that I could bet on it. So if anyone sees Rasul Douglas prop out, let me know on the other side because I do love the Rasul Douglas prop, and I can't bet more than $10 at the book that offers it, Fanatics. So let's see if one more time if it's live. One more time. I'm going to be so mad. Rasul Douglas. Still only Fanatics. Gosh, so annoying. All right. Best bets of the day. Let's get to it. Obviously, it's coming from my prop queen edges of the day, but I'll narrow it down to 3, and I'm trying to put it in a prize picks lineup if someone would allow Rasul Douglas to be posted. Royal Logs. Royal Locks of the day brought to you by Pickett Sports. These are my favorite 3 props of the evening, and I would love to put them in a prize picks lineup tonight. Rasul Douglas over 4.5 total tackles. In case you missed it, he's averaging 5.5 total tackles in prime time. Rasul Douglas has also gone over this number in 8 of his last 10 primetime games. Going back to 2022, on the road in prime time, 7 of the last 10 went over. 64% of quarterbacks have gone over their tackle plus assist prop when going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It is the position that goes over their total tackles prop the absolute most. Then we're going with Tua Tagovailoa over his pass attempts. 8 of his last 10, he's averaging 30 is what he's gone over. He's averaging 31 pass attempts per game. Pittsburgh allows the second most pass attempts per game. 77% of quarterbacks have gone over their pass attempt prop this year against the Steelers. And lastly, as I mentioned, Pat Freiermuth over 14.5 receiving yards. He's averaging 39 receiving yards a game this year against teams bottom 10 against tight ends. Even with Aaron Rodgers in prime time, went over in 2 of 3 with 111 and 33 yards. The 4th most receiving yards per game this year to tight ends, the Miami Dolphins defense. So we're going over on Pat Freiermuth, receiving yards. I'm going to take the experienced tight end who's been number 1 in Pittsburgh for the last few years at home in prime time for Pat Freiermuth. You can't find no 1R. No, what? No 1R? I don't know what that means. Oh, I know. It moved to 17.5, and I like it. But if you guys don't believe me, because you guys, like, people on here love to troll, I'd say just go to my Pickett account, but I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to show it right here in the chat. Pickett Sports is connected to my sports book. And if you don't believe me, you go to Pickett Sports and you shall see that I bet the 14.5 this morning. It's up to 17.5 now, which should make you feel good that it's on the rise. I still would take 17.5. I think that he's going to have a 20 plus. Is this it? Yeah. That's what I've got right now on Pickett. That's what I bet this morning. That's literally, you could see it. You could see the actual bets on Pickett that I bet over 14.5. Josh Gold said bet 365 is still at 14.5. So I hope you guys don't get a bad number. I think he gets 20 plus tonight, to be honest with you. And that's why I think it's even on the rise from 14.5 to 17.5. It's fine. He's trolling. I don't care. I just put down the trolls. He wants to say that that doesn't exist. Maybe it doesn't anymore, but it did this morning. And that's why I actually bet. In fact, there were people on my X page yesterday. I went 5-0. I went 5-0 in props. I lost my prize picks lineup because Javonte Williams, they stopped throwing him out of the backfield for some reason. And I only needed one long rush, which got to the other running back, but not Javonte. But anyway, I lost the prize picks lineup. But outside of that, I individually bet all my other props. And I went 5-0 in the individual props that I bet yesterday. I get on X this morning, after I say I went 5-0. And the newsletter did very well yesterday. Like, the newsletter pretty much hit. Even props I didn't bet hit yesterday from the newsletter. Like, what else? There was one prop I hit and I forgot and I didn't bet it, but it did hit. Anyway, so 5-0 yesterday, and the comment I get on X isn't thanks so much for the info. The comment was, you don't even bet with your money, or you don't even bet for real. So then I post my ticket, the winning ticket, and they go, well, it's not your money. Whose money is it? It makes no sense. Literally, that's why I'm on Picket. So for anybody who wants to see exactly what I bet, like Mark said, the entire 1 o'clock slate hit. That's awesome. See? So glad to help. So I just want to give you good info. And I'm not saying, I always say it's in the newsletter. Don't bet all of them. Just bet the ones you like the most. I'm just here to make the slate a little bit less overwhelming and make it a little smaller and give you guys good info. And maybe you don't even bet what I'd say to bet, but you use that info and you bet something else because you like the info I gave. As long as it helps. But yeah, so for the people that say that I don't bet, it's absolute insanity. I am connected on Picket to every sports book I have. And on Picket, you will see at Ariel Epstein, you'll see all my bets. You see what I bet. And it'll literally be right there on Ariel Epstein on Prop Queen and Picket. So I know it's not you guys, AOD. It's not you guys. I appreciate all of you, though. I'm just here to help. I'm not here to be an idiot. That's the thing. Today in the sports gambling world, we don't get enough good info. It's all just like, here's my bet of the day. Heart if you like it. Or, oh, I'm dumb. Take my bet. We need more good info out there, especially in the prop world, because we know all the sharps out in Vegas. They love their spreads, their totals, their money lines. But we don't have enough sharp people in the prop world yet. So we've got to get more good info out there in props. And that's what the Prop Queen is here to do. The Prop Queen brand. I didn't mean to refer to myself. That's weird. Make sure to check out the YouTube page. Prop Queen Sports means a lot. If you guys could subscribe. We hit 1,000 subscribers. That was my goal for the end of the year. Going to try to grow the YouTube channel for next year. So definitely join the YouTube channel. You get all this stuff for free at Prop Queen Media, Prop Queen Sports. And then you can also go to the propqueen.com newsletter. If you don't want to wait until 5 o'clock, or if you don't want to watch the full hour, then you could go to the propqueen.com and you get the newsletter. It's about $19 for $19 a month to get every prop every day. Again, it's not meant to really be like a pick selling service. It's just meant to narrow down the board, give you guys really good info. I don't really say in there like, oh, this, like, go and you have to bet this today. It's like, hey, there's an edge here. If you want to bet that edge, go bet that edge. And then all the free subscribers do get one free prop a day that I definitely do bet. But you could always follow me for free at Picket Sports using promo code PropQueen, and you will be able to track all my bets there. And if you do want any of these really cool graphs, still up there, you get 50% off your first month using promo code PropQueen if you sign up for Props.cash. So it's definitely worth checking out too. Model who does props. I can't be a model. I can't. I'm too short. I'm 5'2". Can't be a model. And I also don't work out enough anymore. I used to until I got the dog, and now we just walk all the time. I should eat. I mean, I eat well, but I'm definitely not a model. I'm 5'2", really short. I hope to see you guys, though, at events and stuff, so you can see how short I really am. Me and Kelly in Vegas, both 5'2", but we could share shoes, so that's good. Anyway, it's time to sign off and go monitor the system for Russell Douglas. If you guys happen to see a Russell Douglas prop anywhere that's not Fanatics, let me know. Shoot me a message on Twitter or something. I would love to be able to bet Russell Douglas tonight for more than $10. Fanatics. See, that's the other thing. If I don't bet, how do I know that I'm limited to $10 at a book? Come on, get out of here. I bet, you bet. Let's all win. Happy Monday. Happy Football Monday. I will see you guys tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern time here on the Prop Queen Pod.